Now another hour of experts on call on News Talk 580 CFRA. Tips, information, and advice from professionals and business owners in our community.
And a good afternoon once again to you. Dave Watts here, and I'm pleased to welcome another hour of timely information on News Talk 580 CFRA. Last month, we introduced you to two extremely interesting and informative guests from CareWorx, and they're back with more on what you need to know to protect and manage the IT applications and systems of your business or organization, and to do it smartly and efficiently. Now, in the studio this afternoon, we're pleased to welcome back Marco LaVecchia, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of CareWorx. Good afternoon, Marco.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine and dandy. Nice to see you again. And across the table is Ryan Vallee, the Senior Vice President of Technology at CareWorx. Hi, Ryan. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Nice to see you folks again. And if you have a question on IT management systems, perhaps maybe you're starting a small business or you have a large business and you want to make some changes, but you want to get up to date on what's needed for your IT management, you can give us a call and ask Marco or Ryan your question, and perhaps they can give you the answer that you need right now on the spot. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? 521-TALK, 521-8255 is our telephone number. Give us a shout. We've got the lines open to address your call. Going to get into the CareWorx philosophy, goals, and missions over the hour. But Marco, the growth curve here at CareWorx continues. Maybe you could take us through the early beginnings and how the company evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. And good afternoon, everybody. It's just fantastic to be here, and thanks, Dave, for having us. CareWorx has definitely evolved over the last number of years. Originated from our CEO, Mark Scott, who was the founder of Enable Technologies, a large software company locally here in Ottawa that was sold off to SolarWinds in 2013. And since then, we've really been on the acquisition trail. One of the things we've been kind of focusing on is where's technology leading, and then going out and acquiring some of those companies that can really kind of help us take the business to the next level. The big thing that we've seen in terms of our growth, like we're sitting at 165 employees.
Wow.
Currently right now, and we're probably in probably number 27 or 29 largest managed service provider in the world, and obviously the largest one in Ottawa.
Sure,
something we're extremely proud of. So, we view ourselves as the organization that provides IT services for small, medium-sized businesses and mid-sized enterprise right across North America. In Ottawa, obviously our focus is on the SMB marketplace. We do support the Canadian federal government. We're really a one-stop shop for everything IT,
right?
And that's how we want to view ourselves. So when we work with our organizations and companies and businesses that come to us, they're taking a look at, can we help them out with their managed services, with their security concerns, whether it's business continuity, hardware, software, and we pride ourselves as being that organization that a company can go to and ask their questions. And we don't necessarily have to go out to a whole bunch of different companies to provide them a solution. We're really kind of that company that can solve all their technology needs.
So the answers, folks, are right here. And right here, when I say right here, I mean right here, right now. Give Marco or Ryan a shout here at 521-TALK, 521-8255 if you'd like to have it doesn't matter how silly you might think the question is. I mean, every question is important and every question is key because you need an answer. And that's quite fine. Now, I have to say, Marco, before we started the show, we were chatting a little bit in advance. You had mentioned the downtime cost calculator. That's an intriguing thing. What is that?
Yeah, I actually think that it's something that every business owner should have. They should actually take a look at it. As we're selling managed services to organizations, managed services is a proactive solution to really trying to eliminate downtime for organizations. And what I mean by that is if you're an organization and a company that operates on a daily basis, and if something goes wrong with IT, you have to make a telephone call out to advise something that there's a problem, that's a reactive model. That's not a good way to operate a business. And so the downtime cost impact analysis that we like to do for our clients, by showing them, for instance, what an hour of downtime costs them, really kind of helps them make the decision. And so we use this calculator. And actually, maybe what we'll do this afternoon, I'm gonna take an example of a $5 million business
Okay.
that has about 40 employees.
Okay.
And I'm going to push what's called the panic button on this application that I have.
Okay.
And very quickly, it's going to start calculating what the cost of downtime is for me. And maybe one of the things that we can do throughout the show is maybe every 15, 20 minutes, you can ask me what we're at, and I'll tell you what that total is. And I think that's probably the thing that somebody really needs to focus on. So it's not necessarily what you're paying for something, but what's the impact of not doing anything. And by not doing anything, that's the result in lost productivity and lost revenue. So I'll be able to give you some metrics as we go on through this afternoon.
I can't believe how technology is advancing. We were talking about that beforehand too. And Ryan, Vallee, technology certainly is that rapidly evolving space. Well, what changes do you see happening with your small and medium-sized business customers?
Definitely. The truth of SMB today is that really kind of the four walls, the traditional four walls are gone. With the rapid adoption of mobile computing, cloud computing, really are stretching the boundaries. And we as users are really requesting for IT anywhere. So that has really had a large impact on the SMB and the efficiencies and what they're capable of as an organization. Mapping that back to what changes we're seeing in the networks themselves and the technologies themselves, is certainly a lot of the Office 365 is an example. And, cloud-based storage, Dropbox for Business is another example. All of the, mobile devices, whether it be Android or Apple, and the adoption of virtual servers. So comparing that to many, many years ago, it was, the physical four walls and all of the network was contained within there. But certainly now I can compute from absolutely anywhere and everywhere and be able to perform the tasks that are necessary. So big changes are continuing to happen.
Something I find, I just saw an interesting analogy here. Remember years ago, you were always on the hunt looking for a good mechanic for your car, someone you could trust. Well, in today's business life, IT security and IT management is so important. It's so crucial. You want to make sure that you can trust the folks that you hire to do what needs to be done for your organization. And I think this is where CareWorx really shines.
Yeah, and to your analogy, let me go a little bit further. The auto industry was probably one of the first industries that started creating the concept of managed services. You used to bring your car in and you would leave it there for an entire day, and then they would diagnose it, and then they'd probably do the service work the next day.
Sure.
Nowadays, they go in, they charge you the same amount of money for the service plan, but they plug your car into a computer, and in 5 minutes it tells you what's going on, and they go ahead and fix it. So that automation, those remediation type solutions and technologies is really how businesses need to kind of look to themselves. And today, everybody, some way or another, is tied into some sort of, whether it's e-commerce or leveraging, technologies. There's bakers that have, websites, that they take basically orders on, and those they have to be up and running all the time. If not, if they can't process an order, they're going to have issues. So every profile of customers is leveraging technology today.
We're going to take a quick update on that downtime cost calculator when we come back on News Talk 580 CFRA. Experts on Call is the program, and our guests in studio, Marco LaVecchia, he's the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Ryan Vallee, the Senior Vice President of Technology with CareWorx. Experts on Call. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA. Now back to Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA.
And a good afternoon once again to you. If you're just joining us, Dave Watts here, and our guest this hour, Marco LaVecchia. He's the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Ryan Vallee, the Senior Vice President of Technology at CareWorx. And we're talking about IT management systems for your organization, for your business, no matter how big, how small. This is certainly timely stuff for you to keep safe and stay well connected to what's going on. Just before the break, Marco, we were talking about the downtime cost calculator. Do we have any new numbers at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just review we're profiling this on a $5 million a year company.
Okay.
With 40 employees. And so far, they've experienced some downtime, and downtime doesn't have to be a catastrophic downtime. It could be systems running slow or whatever the case may be. And we're currently at $468, $471. So it's moving.
It's moving.
Yeah.
Wow. Ryan, maybe we could define what downtime is.
Sure. And Marco kind of alluded to a little bit to it. It can include catastrophic failure, and a user's inability to access those business critical systems and solutions. Email is a great example. Any CRM application. What about you do house your own or offer your own e-commerce, and customers cannot approach your business, but also could be slowly performing or performance degradation within the environment. So anything that is inhibiting a user's ability to complete their tasks with their technology.
Okay. Now, different customers have different needs. So how do you determine their specific IT requirements?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question and a very kind of popular question because each business is different. Their IT needs will differ. Really what it comes down to is a conversation. It's understanding what they're looking to leverage their technology to achieve. And in part to that, there is technology assessment tools that we can leverage, and that can go out and inventory the environment, really give us a state of the union of what's out there. What is the age of the environment? Are things under warranty? Is there any of the old legacy operating systems? But also kind of bridging up into more of the security assessments, looking at vulnerabilities and exploits in a proactive fashion to determine maybe there's applications that are requiring updates. Looking at all of these aspects, we're able to provide real insight and kind of an actionable item list into what they will need, to ensure that they have a sustainable IT infrastructure to support their business.
And something that's interesting, the listener might think, or a business owner might think, well, this is really complicated. This is complicating. Do I really need to go this route and get involved? I think, yes, you do. But one of the nice things about CareWorx, you guys can work that process with them and explain to them in real grassroots ways on how this is going to benefit their business.
Well, I think that's the key component here is businesses today certainly have their own economic pressures, their own competitive pressures. Sure. They have their own strategic goals that they're looking to achieve. And really the IT industry and the IT sector is our market. So it's the assessments that we're going to run. It's the conversations that we're going to have with each business and the different key players within that business to understand how we're going to better align technology to meet their business.
And those assessments are recurring too, I think.
Well, absolutely. Technology is changing. The goals of the organization are changing. And actually take a moment to introduce the VCIO services, so virtual CIO services, is something that we offer to our customers to ensure that we're always offering that consultative approach to understand, again, how what they view as the future of their business and ensure here that we're mapping technology all along the way to support them as an organization.
VCIO, what does that stand for?
Virtual CIO. So it's actual service that we will actually offer. So it's a member of the CareWorx team working within the walls of each of the customers to understand and have that business and technology perspective.
Okay, so an assessment is undertaken, the regular assessments. What can the customer expect at the end of the assessment period?
Well, in short, it's a grade. It gives you really a look at the security aptitude of the environment and real state of the environment. And breaking that down, it is a prioritized list of items that really can be viewed from a high, medium, and low type of standpoint that really need to or should be addressed to ensure the ongoing security of the environment, that network and that business is protected from the latest cyber threats, as an example. Or in the event that there is a hardware failure, the warranties are there, or there is backups. Business continuity planning, Marco introduced early on in our conversation, making sure that that's up to date. So again, in the event of any type of failure, really they're going to be covered. They're going to have a plan to get them back on their feet.
Okay, so a new company has been set up and the owner doesn't really know the first thing about IT or IT management. How can CareWorx help? Again,
really comes in and has that conversation about what they're looking to achieve as an organization, how they're looking to service their customers. And we're able to really take our years of knowledge and really passion for the IT sector and the IT industry to ensure that we're putting in the right options, the IT options in place and building that infrastructure perhaps in the cloud. Maybe it's a series of virtual servers. Maybe it's a hybrid approach. There is some physical and on-premise components. There's a lot of options here, but it really comes down to a business conversation.
What about a network assessment? Maybe how does that differ, or does it?
In many ways, it's playing a key part in that conversation because it's the real tangible details about that environment. How many workstations do you have? How many switches, how many routers, the wireless access points, kind of spread throughout the environment. What's existing within that network, and we're able to go out there and really, through an automated fashion, discover that. So we're able to produce that clear inventory list, and then anyone looking at that business or working within that business can kind of pinpoint, hey, this is that critical piece of server where my database, my CRM application, and then we'll look at ensuring that there's security really built around that critical infrastructure.
What about cyber attacks and vulnerability? I would think that a lot of small businesses and organizations, certainly large businesses too, this is kind of top of mind. It's tucked away in the back of your thought process. You don't want to be a victim of these things, but it does happen.
Yeah, actually, I would say that it's not at the top of their mind enough, right? So yeah, it is a massive problem that we see in the marketplace today. There are phishing attacks, malware attacks. Organizations are being brought down. They can be down for a number of days. They don't have the right systems in place, and so I wish everybody would take it seriously. We do have a lot of the conversations with the clients, and we're really not the type of organization that wants to put the fear of God in them, but there are a lot of issues. And if the network is not up to speed and they don't have the right security parameters and the right solutions and technologies, they're always going to be at risk.
Absolutely. While I think of it, I'm curious. I know you're based here in the Ottawa area, but your service area locally, I guess it stretches, across Eastern Ontario, right across the province.
Yeah, actually, we have different vertical markets within our business. Our managed IT model, we support, we have hundreds of customers in the Ottawa area, and we basically pretty much go all the way down from Ottawa down to southwestern Ontario.
Okay. The business application assessment, this is a manual discovery of how each department interacts with their business critical applications. Maybe you could touch on that for just a sec.
Yeah, sure. So I think this is an important piece because it's really how users are expecting to work and accomplish their tasks. We're tracking that cost of downtime scenario, and that is really measuring if the impact if a user is unable to perform their tasks. So this kind of business application assessment is how users are looking to interact. How their email client is interacting with Office 365 is an example, and all the steps along the way to again ensure that we have a clear understanding of how they're looking to operate. And by having that real conversation, we're able to really work as their trusted advisor and make those recommendations on what needs to be in place or what protections maybe need to be expanded upon in the event of a cyber attack.
Now, is this assessment, this business application assessment, is this done regularly, this manual one, or is it a one-shot deal again like the other ones, or is it's really needed often? It's
really needed often. That's because, again, rapidly evolving space we're all working within, and the goals of the organization can change. We talked about mergers and acquisitions, early on, and they can have impact on business. So, what in the event as they go through that, or as the business kind of evolves and maybe takes a different direction, is again that technology really supporting that change or that new direction?
And it can be overwhelming.
In terms of
what's going on in the network, what needs to be done. And so that's where our VCIO comes in and really kind of sits down and puts it in layman's terms and sits with an organization. And in fact, our VCIO sits on the side of the table of our customers and not on the CareWorx side. And their job is to basically point the business in the right direction, where they need to go. What is the next 2, 3, or 5 year technology roadmap within an organization look like, right? Because we have to do things in a proactive model. If not, it leaves us kind of behind the curve.
Is there a system in place for, I'm thinking a very small business, perhaps even something like a sole proprietor, obviously all the way up, but really small, maybe 1 or 2 employee businesses? Is this something that would be of interest or should be priority for them too?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
I kind of thought so, but I wanted to see how it might play in.
Nowadays, you'll see businesses. You can be, we call them a one-man shop that might be doing $3 million a year through an e-commerce site, right? So businesses have changed in terms of how they operate and what they look like.
Okay. Well, before we take our break, what I should do is just ask you for some contact info, perhaps your office phone number for a quick reference if someone wants to give the office a call, maybe next week or whenever. What's the best number to reach you at?
Sure. You can always give us a call at 613-591-9800 or visit us at CareWorx with an X, like Xerox.com.
Perfect. All right, we're going to take a quick break on News Talk 580 CFRA. Experts on Call is the program, of course, and our guests this hour, Marco LaVecchia, he's the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Ryan Vallee, the Senior VP of Technology with CareWorx. I'm Dave Watts. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA. Now back to Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA.
And a good afternoon to you once again. If you're just joining us this hour, very interesting conversation on security, IT security and management services, crucial for your business or organization. And two guests in the studio to answer and address those issues. Marco LaVecchia, he's the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Ryan Vallee, the Senior VP of Technology at CareWorx, Ottawa-based CareWorx. Nice to have you guys with us again this hour. We started off our conversation about a month ago. It's nice to kind of, in a sense, we're kind of picking up where we left off. I love it. This is
It's
great.
a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, let's get an update on that downtime cost calculator. Marco, you have been watching that carefully over the past little while.
Yeah, so we base it off the $5 million a year company with 40 employees, and we just hit over $1,000 in downtime.
All right. I guess we have to talk a little bit more about downtime, Ryan, and maybe you could review it again for us and why it's important to keep an eye on that.
Sure. And the small, medium businesses today, and really business in general today, are so dependent on that technology, to service their customers, to provide their technologies and services. So downtime is really representing any of the user's inability to perform their tasks through technology. That's what we're really kind of, referring to when we speak to that cost of downtime. I'm not getting email, I'm unable to access that CRM application, that important database, or maybe it's just too slow for me to really get my job done. That's really representing that downtime.
So that brings us to the point of the need, and it's a crucial need for and long-term benefits of managed services.
Yeah,
Marco.
absolutely. Like the problem with a reactive business model. So if you're a business today, and as I mentioned before, you have to call somebody to come out and fix a problem. Well, in essence, when they come out and fix it, you're paying for downtime. You're not necessarily paying for uptime. And somebody that's in a proactive managed model with us, they're really paying for uptime. And it's a lot less expensive to pay for uptime than it is to pay for downtime. So even if somebody comes on site and they get billed at $125 an hour and they're there for 2 or 3 hours, that's not the real cost. The real cost is what they've paid that person plus, for instance, what's being calculated in our calculator. So those are the important things. When you take a look at the benefits, well, I like to look at it as not only are our systems up and running, people are productive, you're secure, you got the right business continuity solution in place from an overall product offering, but predictive costs for businesses, I think, is paramount as well. And the analogy that I use is, would anybody go out and sign a mortgage knowing that every month the mortgage payment would fluctuate month to month? And chances are most people, I think, would tell me absolutely not. I need to have predictive costs in terms of what my mortgage payment. So I think the same thing kind of evolves when it comes to what we deliver from my managed services. We give them a predictive cost. We tell them what it's going to cost them on a monthly basis to manage and look after their network. And it's something that they are very comfortable with.
So why haven't more customers adopted this management services approach?
I think a lot of the times either they don't understand the impact of what downtime costs them, or they don't see enough value, for instance, in IT. So, or what I say is their IT infrastructure. I'll give you an example. If we're going to go talk to an organization about what we bring as a service, and we walk in there and we take a look at the infrastructure they haven't invested in it in 15 years, I could promise you that business does not see value in IT. Whereas if I walk into another organization and they have the latest equipment, they understand, for instance, the technology issues that are at hand, they like to understand what their product roadmap and what investments they need to make over the next little while. Those are the clients that are, ideal for any kind of business to look after.
So I guess the bottom line really is to reduce the cost of downtime.
Absolutely.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a major cost that impacts organizations all the time. And if an organization does have a catastrophic event and they don't have the right systems in place, over 70% of businesses that have a catastrophic event in the first year are out of business within 1 year. Wow. So it is extremely important.
Now, can IT costs be predicted by a business to a degree?
Dave, I'll jump on that one if I could. Sure. And in truth, yes. There is always issues in the unknown that's going to happen. But I'll come back to, I think, that car analogy, that we were talking about here. Things do happen with our cars. But if we really invest in the maintenance of these cars, we do the oil changes, something that is common, to all of us. We rotate our tires. We top up our fluids. We kind of verify things. You're oiling, any of the doors and things like that. It is going to prolong the sustainability, I guess, of that vehicle. That same analogy can really be applied to IT networks. The approach that we in the CareWorx team really take is that proactive approach that Marco's been introducing here. We're always doing, that proactive maintenance. Right. And a lot of the systems and tools allow us to be ahead of the curve through predictive failure and predictive threat type monitoring. So we have that clear understanding, a little bit of, the radar about what's coming up in the future.
Now, is that what you call the evergreening plan?
Evergreening plan, and Marco kind of touched in on this a little bit. It is the constant refreshing of assets. Okay. These systems, they do have a shelf life. And yes, there's maintenances that really can prolong the use of those, but they are going to come to an end of life. And Microsoft puts that out, and even hardware is subject to that.
I guess staying on top of these efficiencies is really I was going to say it's a day-to-day operation for the business itself, but really this is part of the package that you guys offer, isn't it? It's something that you do because that's what you do. Yeah, and for the client.
Absolutely. And it's not a one program fits all for everybody. So, we customize the offering for our customers. We have different programs that they can get into. We do know that there's some customers that might be a little bit apprehensive as they start working with us to know exactly what's the value that CareWorx is going to bring to them. So we have what we call starter packages, and then we can migrate them over. Anybody that really comes into that package very, very quickly wants to migrate into a model where they know that we're looking after everything for them because that's peace of mind.
Now, there are some elements, I guess, of this management process that the business owner can look after, him or herself, but I guess it's the big stuff that is part of what you folks look after.
Yeah, I look at it this way. If no matter who we're looking after, they've created a business and a company to bring value to somebody in the marketplace, we want our customers focused on that. Let us look after the IT.
Now, I have something here that I'm really curious about. I see on my notes, I've got TaaS. What is that?
So that's actually referred to as technology as a service. Okay. And this really comes out in the form with the again adoption of cloud services and the accessibility of all different applications and solutions to small businesses today. They really have an ability to run their company, and all of their services in aspects of the cloud, so that they're able to really focus on always keeping things up to date, always keeping things available to them. They really have a plan in place that they're always on that cutting edge of technology. So technology as a service is kind of a moving, kind of a new kind of concept in some senses, but it really allows an organization to stay focused on their strategic goals, and technology is running efficiently and properly for them.
Marco, what is the first thing that a new business customer would do when they call your office? They say, I've got a small business or a medium-sized business or organization, whatever the case. I don't know the first thing about, IT services or management services. What is the first thing that you would do with that particular potential customer?
I think the first thing that we would do is sit down with them and understand what are their concerns as a business? What are the things, for instance, understanding the business as a whole in terms of what they do, what's the impact of technology, and what's the impact of technology if it's not there. And then I think from that point in time, like most of the businesses that we talk to today, unless they're a brand new startup, those are actually great ones for us because then we can go recommend the right types of solution sets that they need. The difficult ones with us sometimes are the ones where maybe they're working with somebody and they weren't necessarily told the right types of solution mixes that they need to have. So there's definitely a lot of cleanup that needs to do. So we do put that project plan in place in terms of what does that look like over a next period of time in terms of upgrading a network, the product roadmap, and getting them to what we would call a steady state where they can operate. And like I said, they come in the morning, they open up their laptops, and everything is working, and that's the ultimate state.
I think a new business would be worried about things like mixed messages. They may have heard something from other folks, or maybe some of their clients or business people, and that might not necessarily be the right way. But at least when they engage CareWorx, they know that they're going to get the straight goods. They know they're going to get the answers they need, regardless of the size of business.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the strength of having 165 employees at CareWorx really bodes well for organizations, because if we were an organization where we had 10 employees, that skill set is going to be lacking, right? And then that's where customers get into problems, right? Because somebody's making a recommendation where maybe they don't have necessarily the skill set, where within CareWorx, we have the base, we have the employees, and we have the right people that can sit down in front of a customer and address their concerns.
We're going to take a quick break on News Talk 580 CFRA. Our guests from CareWorx include Marco LaVecchia. He's the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Ryan Vallee, the Senior Vice President of Technology. And coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the future of managed services. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA. Now back to Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA.
Dave Watts back with you, and our guest this hour, Marco LaVecchia, Executive VP and GM of CareWorx, and Ryan Vallee, Senior VP of Technology, CareWorx as well. Nice to see you guys here. As always, very informative and very timely for any business owner, any organization, manager, or trustee perhaps, whatever, to get involved in this type of service. IT service is the way of the future. But before we get into the future look, got to check in with that downtime cost calculator. Mark Owen, where are we at now?
We're over $1,500 so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that just kind of gives you a good idea in terms of a profile, $5 million a year, 40 employees, and something's not operating optimally within an organization, and just kind of gives you an idea in terms of the impact.
Now, for more info and access to the calculator, what should a listener do? Or what should anyone do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to share this with. If you send us an email at info@careworx.com, just tell us you're looking for the downtime cost and impact analysis calculator, and we'll send it over to you.
Perfect. All right. I guess really the future is now. I mean, every time we turn around, there's something new and exciting that's happening in this area. And I guess, Ryan, this has to be pretty challenging for you to stay on top of this.
It's the best part, to be honest with you. Challenging perhaps, but it is really where the passion of the entire CareWorx team lies. And looking at the future, it is always married to the needs of our customers. And I can speak to you a lot about hybrid cloud, public versus private cloud leading the way. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna take it down a little bit of step, and where we see kind of the future of managed services and the SMB needs is really coming in the form of a self-serve component. And I'll take this as a segue and an opportunity to really speak about AI and machine learning and what impact that is really having and will continue to have an impact on SMBs today. As we're kind of looking down this path, machine learning and AI really presents a lot of the details, whenever an issue is occurring or about to occur, it really gathers all of the analysis about the network, about what the user is looking to achieve, and can present a simple solution, essentially. So I think of actually an upcoming Tech Talks that we have on May 16th in in the Central Beer House in Canada Centrum, where we're actually exclusively going to be talking about artificial intelligence and what impacts that's going to have on businesses. Marco, I know that we've secured IBM to actually be a keynote speaker at our Tech Talks, speaking about their work-based support services with Watson. And I know if I could, that is going to have an impact because it really allows a user, as they have an issue, they can interact with the artificial intelligence to gain all of the issue, gain a real perspective on those issues that they're experiencing, and actually grant them the ability to take action themselves, and in a sense, self remediate that issue. So it's actually a self healing component that AI and machine learning is really presenting to SMBs.
So when is this function again? Tech Talks?
May 16th.
And where is it again?
The Central Beer House in Canada Centrum.
And you folks will be there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we started this. Actually, this is our third one.
Okay.
The first two that we did, they've gone over extremely well.
Okay.
And the first two are actually focused around security. The third one that we're doing is around AI. And as Ryan mentioned, we have one of the global vice presidents of IBM that handles Watson is going to be in Ottawa and talking to people. And this is a free event that we do. It's definitely not a sales event. It's really a technology chat and a networking event, and it's really getting legs across the city where more and more people are starting to attend. So we anticipate a very full house, and beyond that, beyond what IBM's doing and coming down. We've secured two local AI companies that we're really excited about. We have Sam Witherspoon, who's the co-founder of a company called IMRSV Data Labs. Basically, what they're involved in is natural language processing and classification technology. And Rudy Asier, who's the president of IMI, they've created an AI product called Rhonda, and they're in the workforce management. So AI is really kind of impacting so many different facets of business and life, and we as a business really want to be a forefront. And one of the major reasons why you see, for instance, CareWorx working very closely and strategically with IBM is on our enterprise level service desk, where we do first level support for mid-market and enterprise companies. We're going to in the process of integrating Watson into that service offering.
Now, AI is relatively new in the sense that, it's a technology that's probably growing, I won't say daily, but almost hourly. I think there's always a new component or something new that's discovered and how it's enhanced. Artificial intelligence is going to be the way a lot of future applications will come together in terms of business needs.
Yeah, like as I mentioned, it's changing our life, right? And I think over time, we're really going to see, the benefits of what it brings to the table. I was actually in Las Vegas at IBM's basically what they called Think 18, and one of the biggest trade shows events with over 35,000 people attending.
Wow.
And AI was just a massive component to that event. And so there's so many of these new companies that are coming out there that are really going to kind of impact how we operate and how we live, in the future.
So AI could take place, maybe a lot of basic functions that a staff member might do, or enhance a company from a need standpoint for what a company needs to do to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the probably one of the most popular ones that we see within our business is what we call password resets, where everybody forgets their passwords because it becomes so complicated and they change them and you can't write them down or put them on a piece of paper and you can't put it on your phone or anything. So password resets is probably the most important one. We're going to be in a process where we can automate that whole entire process once you call into our service desk and have Watson help you out.
Perfect. What is Watson again?
Watson is the IBM application. That's the name of what they called their AI vehicle, I guess.
Okay. Now, just to quickly wrap up here, if you are an organization, if you are a small company, you need IT management services. The best place, obviously, is CareWorx. And Marco or Ryan, perhaps the phone number and website again.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can give us a call at actually you can visit our website at careworx.com or give us a call at 613-591-9800. We'd be more than happy to help you out.
Marco, LaVecchia, thank you so much for dropping by this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
And Ryan, nice to see you too.
You as well. Thank you.
Ryan Vallee, thank you for coming by, folks. Experts on Call on News Talk 580 CFRA. News is next.